And we're back. Time for another Patreon-only film rescue. This is on the franchise non-starter called The Three Musketeers, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson from 2011. I don't know what the thought process was behind this. Trying to apply steampunk to The Three Musketeers. I mean, sure, okay, it's open source, it's public domain. Alexander Dumas' work is phenomenal. If you've never read any of his work, Count of Monte Cristo is probably the best thing he's ever written or ever wrote. He's passed away, obviously. This movie, I look at Paul W.S. Anderson's work from Resident Evil forward, and it just feels like excuses to give his wife, Milla Jovovich, a job. Because very little of his work after Resident Evil 1, except for maybe Pompeii, has Milla Jovovich in a starring role, and this is no exception. The cast of this movie is so good, and it just feels very misguided. The action's not great. The CGI is not very good. This was supposed to be a beginning of a trilogy. It never happened, and this is also the first time I ever coined the term blunderbuster. Big, bloated franchise non-starters. They were supposed to start franchises, and they just blew all their money on crap, and they didn't end up making any money, and the franchise did not move forward. Everyone kind of forgot about this movie. The only reason I would ever encourage people to watch this movie in some capacity is because the late Ray Stevenson was in this film, and he's actually quite good. The actual Three Musketeers themselves, the actors, their performances are great. I just wish the movie was better. It's a very blah movie, like Orlando Bloom trying to play a villain. He's just not great at it. It's not his forte. So it's, I think for the franchise non-starters, this is probably one of the worst. This is pretty bad. Well, actually, I take that back. The Dark Universe movies, which weirdly enough also had one of the other actors from this film in there, Dracula Untold. Can't remember that guy's name off the top of my head, but whatever. So this is not a great movie, but the film rescue was a lot of fun. We had a good time with this one. So here is the Patreon cut of our film rescue for 2011's The Three Musketeers. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Film Rescue Show. We are lending a helping hand to Hollywood in fixing their feature films. Today, we have one of the requests on the chopping block, and a guest host in this case, because Vic's not pitching the pitch. It's Aaron's pitch. We're talking about The Three Musketeers, directed by the bad Paul Anderson.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he's a villain, but we definitely are not the biggest fans.
We have been lucky so far to not have to fix many of his movies, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Whenever they suggest the Resident Evil movies, my response email is just going to be no.
No, because the problem is if you fix any of them, you have to fix the previous ones, and that means going back through 5, 6, 7 movies, and I'm like, no.
I don't have the attention span for all of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, even Brandon said it at one point earlier in the season. I said, maybe someday we'll get to the Resident Evil movies, and he said, no, that's page 1.
Yeah, page 1, movie 1.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there is going to ask to do the Resident Evil movies from this guy, no. Just here's a recommendation: just adapt the games. There you go, done.
There you go. I'm very excited to talk about this movie. This is basically Horny Jail in 3D.
Yeah, it really is.
I've got some opinions on this one.
It's got a very
guys.
attractive cast, though. I mean,
it does. And I'm also, admittedly, I think at least a couple times on the show, I'm a huge fan of Alexander Dumas. He is one of my favorite authors of all time. The story of his life is equally as amazing as the books that he writes. Count of Monte Cristo is one of my favorite novels of all time. So this material I'm vaguely, if not very familiar with. However, the fans requested this one, and guys,
was this on the crap list?
It was on the crap list.
Yeah,
I voluntarily took this off the crap list.
Yeah,
we went through and we did the assignments, and this is the one that Aaron grabbed. Let's start with
And
positives.
you'll see why later.
Oh God.
I'm excited to see what you guys have for positives. Against character type, Jesse, you said this movie wasn't that bad.
I didn't hate it. I really didn't hate it. I would say that it's one of Anderson's better movies because it actually has a decent structure to it.
It's coherent.
It's coherent. It's shot pretty well. It's good looking. The cinematography is okay. I mean, maybe not the editing, but
It is the largest of the pygmy marmosets.
yeah. The production design's really good. The places they filmed are beautiful. The costume design is great.
Yeah.
And the idea, steampunk, Three Musketeers, is not the worst idea in the world. It just shouldn't have been done like this.
You sound like me right now. The idea here is great.
Not a bad idea, but this is also
I'm
a film
not
that
in
came
love
out at
with
a time.
this movie. I'm just in love with the idea of this movie.
This came out around a
Jesus.
time that 3D was kind of the big push in theaters.
God.
So you can see like the film is kind of overlit a little bit.
Yeah.
You can just tell because when you convert to 3D, you have to it dims down in the conversion process. So they
Yep.
overlight things so that way when you see it in 2D, it looks way too bright.
Too bright, not very colorful for being a movie that's kind of color fixated. It's
Yeah.
a little grayscale.
I noticed a lot of times
Right.
whenever they were outside and the sun was shining, the sunlight was always blown out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there was like
Oh, yeah,
never
yeah.
any flags, never a flag or anything
Positives.
nearby. It was way too bright.
Positives.
I know, but Mila Jovovich is pretty.
She is nice to look
She is
Very much
damn
so.
hot in this film.
I mean,
Yeah.
Anderson is a lucky motherfucker.
Are they still married?
Oh yeah, they have like 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
at. And they're
Damn.
Yes, I am.
and they're making a Monster Hunter movie together.
Oh!
Why?
Jesus
Why does he
God.
keep getting movies?
Because his movies make money.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the Monster Hunter movie that's currently banned in China because they made a racist slur against Chinese people and
Yep,
needs to
that's
be
the one.
re-edited?
That's the one.
Okay, just making sure.
They fooled their own market.
Oh.
Good job, guys.
Just
Yeah.
golf claps all around over here.
All around. MVP.
How about you, Vic? Positives on watching this movie? This was your first time watching it, correct?
Yes, it was. Never seen it before. And like you said, their ideas is just like Paul W.S. Anderson. It's like there was so much. There was a potential. I liked a lot of the stuff they did. A lot of the stunts would have been cool if they had just towards the beginning. I feel like if they had pushed the stunts a little more, I would have liked it. Now, hold on. I wrote it down because there weren't many. I don't think I've ever been more negative on a movie than Jesse has. But it feels like the movie did not start. Oh no, positives. Sorry.
Yes, please.
We'll get to that.
I was about positives. I like the scene where they had to lean on their reputation and their charm to get out of getting in trouble.
Yeah.
With the king. Yeah, like and they ended up getting rewarded instead of getting in trouble. Like scenes like that were really cool. Like the cast they had chemistry together. I wrote something else because there wasn't much. Most of this was average at best to me.
It's a very passable film. Like I think in retrospect, I did not like it leaving the theater. So watching it recently with a keener eye, I was like, okay, this isn't as bad as I remember it.
How close or distant is this from the source material, Seth?
Oh boy,
It's
not
about
close.
75%. There's a lot of subplot with Constance. Constance has a husband in the book.
Yes.
And there's a lot of subplot with him that gets taken out. Obviously, there's no, like, airships, but, that comes into my pitch, so we will definitely get into that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a D- on adaptation. Which, and again, if you're gonna be loose about it, be loose about it. But,
You see, I came in fresh. Like I haven't. I know of the Three Musketeers, but I never read the original novel, and I actually haven't even seen the old movies. So I came in fresh.
Not even the
and
Disney
I
version?
Uh, maybe when I was
Like
a
the Mickey Mouse
child.
one?
There's like 5 iterations of the Three Musketeers. There's like 5 separate ones. There's that
Oh,
Charlie
man.
Sheen one. There's
Charlie Sheen.
what was the martial arts movie just called The Musketeer? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was bad.
There's
Yeah, that was bad. There's that. There's the old black and white one. There's the animated version. Like there's
And you're just talking about like blockbusters. The made-for-TV Musketeer movie
Oh,
list
God.
is it's horrendously long.
yeah, there's a
Oh,
TV
I
show
bet.
based on this as well. So
Well, I don't think I know I feel like I don't know the Musketeers after watching this movie. I'll say that much.
That makes sense. That's not a hot take. Aaron, how about you? Positives on your watch? You picked this without having seen it, if I'm remembering that correctly, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I've seen a lot of the other adaptations of Three Musketeers, and because I've read the novel, so I was pretty confident that even if this was hot garbage, that I could just use the other stuff that I had seen. And I actually really liked the one. I mean, I was a kid at the time, but the one in the 90s I had genuinely liked.
With Robin from
Yes.
Batman and Robin.
Chris O'Donnell, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell.
That was a fun time. I was a dumb kid. I think, by and large, with one major exception, and that would be James Corden, who I hate. The casting was really good.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't really care for D'Artagnan casting. Instead, we'll get to that in my pitch. I do recast him in my pitch.
Wait, who do you mean? Discount Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
It's
He just-
for everybody wondering, it's Logan Lerman.
Yes.
I heard he was good in other things.
I really love Matthew McFadden. I love him. He's great in Pride and Prejudice. So, like, I know he can act. Luke Evans is phenomenal in The Alienist. So I know he can act. Ray Stevenson was great. Mia Jovovich is always phenomenal. Orlando Bloom as a villain, and her, like, the choice of them as villains was inspired casting, I think. You don't normally see them as villains. So I liked that.
Yeah.
And Orlando Bloom, interestingly enough, played this character who, like, I knew he was Orlando Bloom, but I was like, wait a minute, is that actually Orlando Bloom? Because there were just some points where he was, like, really not very much like himself.
Sure.
I loved him as a bad guy. I loved the emphasis on the female characters. You know, obviously, Three Musketeers with D'Artagnan, it can be a very testosterone-driven thing. You know, they really emphasized Milady's role, and in another movie, the espionage scenes with Milady would have been really cool, but I'm like, this isn't really an espionage flick. I liked a lot of the smaller sets, like the interiors and stuff like that, I thought were really good. The costumes weren't particularly authentic, but for the most part, I enjoyed them.
They were really flashy.
They
liked...
were very pretty. They were great for film.
Yeah.
Authenticity for this movie doesn't matter because it's so inaccurate anyway.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's
This
very
is not-
revisionist.
This is not historically based at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where a spectacle is everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like from a cosplay level or a film level, like Milady's dresses were really cool. I loved a lot of the king's costumes and things like that.
He has such an interesting wardrobe.
When they were actually swashbuckling, like that scene when it was them against the Cardinals guards, well, the various scenes where it was them against the Cardinals guards were pretty good. The fight between D'Artagnan and what's his face on the top of Notre Dame, that was pretty fun.
Yes.
Mads
Liked
Mikkelsen.
that.
I was like, how the fuck did they get him into this movie?
This was before he really took off, if you remember. He was like kind of a lesser known actor for a long time.
Yeah, that's fair.
What got him noticed? What was it that got him noticed? No, Casino Royale was prior to this.
Correct. Yeah, but even then, that was like kind of a bit. Like that might have been his breakout role. Looking back at his stuff, he was in those Winding Refn movies, Pusher, Bleeder.
Pusher,
Yeah. He did those. That I think overseas, he was definitely more of a family name. But yeah, Casino Royale was his first big role, and then he got again more bit stuff until like the mid 2010s. He was not super famous.
Maybe it was Hannibal that got him that big leap.
Oh God, he's so good as Hannibal too.
He's very good as Hannibal. So I mean, this had a lot of parts to be good. It just quite like every other interpretation of Three Musketeers for the most part. It just missed the mark on a lot of regards. But there were a lot of things about this that I did like. There were parts that I liked the soundtrack, but there were parts when I'm like, wait, is this Pirates of the Caribbean? And there were parts where I'm like, wait, is this like Mission Impossible? It was really interesting, but there were definitely parts that I liked it.
Well, look at what the competing franchises were at the time, Aaron.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
it wanted to be pirates. I could tell.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, positive-wise... So, okay, I have to give, like, a little precursor of backstory. When I saw this movie in 2011 in theaters in 3D,
Jesus Christ.
I got the whole experience.
That statement got worse and worse and worse as you said it.
Yeah.
You say that as if it's not going to get even worse as I continue. I was very Christian when I saw this movie, so I think I wanted it to be the family film that they were advertising it as, and watching it yesterday, this movie's very horny and very bi-curious.
Yeah.
Hashtag boner time.
Yes.
James Corden is trying to get pegged through this whole movie. The King Louis, I mean, he's definitely somewhere in that bi spectrum.
I thought he was going to reveal that he didn't love his wife. He just
Right. Yeah, this is a very, very, very horny movie, and that was lost on me, and I think that's why I didn't enjoy it the first time. And so my big takeaway was like, I wish this movie were more tongue-in-cheek. I wish it were hornier. I wish it weren't W.S. Anderson doing it, but somebody... Because it turns meta about halfway through. Like, literally... Christoph Waltz's character stops and goes, is this the part where I do the villain monologue as his own line? Yeah. And I was like, oh, this movie would be so much more fun as a meta story. To the point that, like, some of the lines in the movie are not historically accurate at all.
Oh, yes. I noticed that.
That's where the anachronistic parts I wish were the forefront instead of the background. It was kind of accidentally more funny than it should have been. And those were the parts that I liked the most. Like Aaron was saying, all the stuff with Orlando Bloom and Mia Jovovich, all of that stuff was really fun.
They're so hot together too. Oh my god.
Oh, absolutely.
Dream threesome.
And their lines together are really fun too. Like, obviously, the only reason that you would have to, distrust me is in case I was accidentally working for the Cardinal instead of you, and maybe you had it in for me as well and would just abandon me at a moment's notice. As they're both like, yeah, wouldn't that be wild? Like, that was so fun. Why couldn't the whole movie be that fun?
Yeah. I think one of the things that was my problem with this is that they had a lot of good ideas that they tried to, like, being meta, being steampunk, being sexy, being anachronistic, and they were afraid to go too far. And I think with those things, you need to go all the way. Like, there were a lot of one-liners that were very reminiscent of The Princess Bride, and if they maintained that tone throughout the entirety of the film... But it's like, is this a serious film or is this a campy film? I'm not really sure.
Right.
Is this meta or is it not? I'm not really sure. Is it steampunk or is it designed to feel more like something that could have happened? Other than the airships, I'm not really sure.
Oh, I had someone send me a note that I have to call out on the show for this person. This is not steampunk. Apparently, this is a subgenre of that called clockpunk.
Huh.
Okay.
What difference does it make?
Well,
they
that's
didn't
a great,
fully
it's a
commit
great question.
Either way.
Yeah, I pointed out when I was watching this, I was like, the steampunk adds literally nothing to the movie.
Well, and that's the thing. The point, the reason to point it out is steampunk is based on coal engine machinery, and clockpunk is very more specifically related to Da Vinci. If you've ever seen the Futurama episode where they go to Da Vinci's home planet, that is like quintessential clockpunk. that is, it's all about gears and winding things up and like things that don't need combustion to function. And I'm only pointing this out because the person that pointed out to me was very insistent about it, and you're welcome, my friend, for pointing that out. But I did think it was an interesting thing to point out that this is kind of not like Wild Wild West is steampunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
This is clock punk.
And this was really a product of its time in that it came out a few years after the Da Vinci Code film, and that was when throwing Da Vinci randomly in any film that could tangentially be related to Da Vinci was just like the hot shit.
It's pre-Tesla, right? It's like
Yeah.
throwing Tesla into something.
It definitely
Yeah,
dates
yeah.
the film a lot.
For sure. Let's jump into negatives.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think, and maybe this is just me, I really hate James Corden, and I forgot he was in this
Same.
movie, and when he popped up, I was like, nah, dude, fuck this movie. No.
Yeah, fuck this douchebag.
It didn't help that he was getting shit on the whole time.
It did. Actually, that was the salve that like placated me through the movie, that the running joke is fuck James Corden.
My note for James Corden is replace him with Sean Astin or literally any other Hobbit from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
There you
Or
go.
even
Or put Josh
who's
Gad in
the
there.
kid from What We Do in the Shadows, the show version. You guys know who I mean? The one that's like a
Guillermo.
descendant
Yeah,
of
Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Guillermo
Guillermo is the perfect replacement.
Getting those vibes from him anyway, like the way he acted
Yeah.
and like that quiet, like there's like a lot going on that he's just doesn't want to say, and I mean that he's not allowed to say, and he's not going to say because the people he's around are constantly shitting on him.
Literally gets shit on twice in the movie.
right. But then he gets to save the day at the end. Well, help save the day.
Well,
Unfortunately,
save the day. Jesse, what were some downsides to this movie as you watched it, besides it being a Paul W.S. Anderson film?
Like I said, the steampunk adds basically nothing. Like it doesn't commit in any direction or another.
Mm-hmm.
It feels the plot. What's the plot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nobody knows. It's some kind of weird thing about diamonds, but that's not what they were doing in the beginning.
Yeah,
They were trying
exactly.
to steal plans for an airship, and then that just kind of appears, and then there's another airship, and then it's about stealing diamonds, but they want to go get it back for some reason.
So it's
Seth,
all about
I'm gonna have a brain aneurysm. Help me.
yeah. The whole affair. Actually, here's my main issue with the movie. What is D'Artagnan doing? The beginning of the movie is good job on your sword training. Here's a horse. Now fuck off.
Yes.
That scene was so cheesy too.
Oh, it was
Oh,
bad.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to go be a musketeer now. But wait a minute. I thought they were disbanded. What
Yeah.
the fuck? He
and
would
then-
know this. He even says his dad was a musketeer. Well, wouldn't his
Yeah.
dad know?
Not necessarily just because like they're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like he's supposed to be some rural bumpkin kid who don't know shit.
Right.
News didn't travel fast back in that era.
But that's not this era. This is fictional version of that era, Aaron. People get from one place to another very quickly.
Oh yeah.
I was getting shades of Indiana Jones, the map.
Yeah, I can see that. I wish this were more Indiana Jones, because then it. Although, okay, I forgot to mention this in the positive. When D'Artagnan gets fucking shot in the chest at the beginning, I laughed.
Oh, yeah.
Like that got a big like belly laugh out of me, and then his reaction is, "You shot me," and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
funny.
great. That was one of the jokes that landed.
For sure. Some of these jokes are genuinely, I don't know if it's the delivery or if it's the actual joke telling, but some of them are genuinely great. The entire character of King Louis had me rolling the whole time.
He was so good.
Oh, what wonderful stuff this could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vic, how about you? Downsides of the movie to you?
Well, I feel like it didn't really start until halfway through, or it was two different movies. 'Cause
Yeah.
the quest was supposed to be D'Artagnan joins the Musketeers. Well, he joined in like the first 15 minutes, and then they spend another like 25, 30 minutes just fucking around the castle, not the castle, fucking around France, getting in the shenanigans, and then, only then, it seems like the plot starts.
They're gone for like 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And it's like, who's, like, what is happening? There was no momentum. There was no driving. It was like, we're going to sit here and we're going to plop here and we're going to wait until the next moment comes, and then we're going to sit in that next moment, and then we wait. It's like, it didn't really, like, the momentum didn't pick up for me until they actually, like, went to England and went to break in.
Yeah.
Now, and also, as you said, the editing was, what, was it all one day? It all felt like one day.
Yeah, like I said, the editing is terrible. Not just scene to scene. It feels like things are cut too quick or too late.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The L cuts and J cuts feel a little sloppy and messy, and scenes drag on way too long. Like this scene, the sword fight between D'Artagnan and Mads Mikkelsen on top of Notre Dame. That scene, when he falls off and he slides down the roof, I was like, oh, he fell off the building and he's done for the fight. And it keeps going. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. Like, that should have been cut down to one moment.
And also the egregious use of slow-mo.
It's very Zack Snyder.
I guess that's a Paul Anderson thing.
That's an Anderson thing, because that hallway scene, that's literally the laser sequence from the first Resident Evil movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's literally the same scene.
No. No,
yeah,
I don't want
this,
that.
Like, Athos,
yeah.
Yeah,
Athos, okay. Yeah, like that, in the first, like, that first big fight with the Musketeers and the Guardsmen, like, they really had like a 300 moment where Athos was just spinning around in slow motion and taking down people at each second. It was weird.
Well, no, because he was going from right to left instead of left to right, so obviously it's different.
You're right. My bad. Sorry. Okay. I almost said he copied him there, but my bad. Okay.
Hey, here's a question. You know that whole scene where like 50 guards start surrounding all of the Musketeers?
Yes.
Don't they like kill off a bunch of guys?
Oh, yeah, this movie is like egregious murder just getting written off as, they call it, brawling? They're like, oh, you had a brawl in the streets. It's like,
no, I literally saw a guy get stabbed in the heart with a knife.
Like, multiple people died.
And the Cardinal and also the King are just like, oh, well, it's good that you're here to help defend our kingdom. What the fuck? Who's the villain in this movie? Like, that's the thing. Like, the Cardinal's supposed to be the main villain of the book, right?
Yes.
So, but he doesn't get his comeuppance at the end of this movie.
Absolutely, he does not. Neither does Orlando Bloom.
Oh my God! Like, nobody gets anything.
Mads Mikkelsen, he gets
Bloom
like
gets sequel bait.
Yeah, this movie was supposed to start a franchise and it didn't.
A franchise of what?
I don't fucking know. It's just, the movie made money. It's weird. It made money.
It was like the Lone Ranger. We were trying to think of it last time. What is the word for these like overblown, big budget PG-13 action movies? Like just those things were the dime a dozen at the time.
And like Robin Hood, like last year or the year before.
Zero Dark Longsleeve.
Zero Dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever coined that deserves a quarter every time it gets said.
Yeah, honestly, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's like those movies. Like nothing really matters. It's like just whatever happens that looks cool, just do it.
Yeah, we need villains for the second movie and then for the finale.
Oh, I have the term. Blunderbusters.
Blunderbusters.
There you go.
Ooh.
Somebody fucked up. It was supposed to be a blockbuster, but it became a blunderbuster.
That's actually pretty good.
I like that.
That's our term. That's our term. These overblown, overhyped, big action movies are supposed to start franchises and they fail.
You should copyright that.
And they have to be PG-13 as well.
They're always PG-13 because
always.
that's the way you get the most money.
That's the broad.
Exactly. It can't be R.
What's the name for those old guns that were like old shotguns? The blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss. Yeah.
Blunderbuss.
It's exactly that. Like as a metaphor, it just spray wherever you can, and whatever money we get, we get.
Once a
Exactly.
month, I have a really good idea, and that was it. I am done for the month.
You cashed out very early in
Oh,
December.
pretty early, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's only the 6th.
You should have waited for Christmas.
Aaron, you are familiar with the source material, as am
Yes.
I. I'm curious what your issues were with the movie, with the filmmaking, with the plot in general. What really was a gouge in the eye for you?
So, number one, there is so little swashbuckling in this film. Like,
Yes.
let me get this right. You cast Orlando fucking Bloom, one of the people with the most combat experience in cinema at the time, and you have him basically talk and look pretty, and that's basically fucking it. Are you fucking with me?
You did a good job talking shit.
Yes,
to the
this whole
king.
movie was fake. That's the end of the show. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da.
Like, sword fights. I want more goddamn sword fights. When I
Yeah.
hated the casting of D'Artagnan initially, because I'm like, God, this kid is he's just not great. I'm sorry, he just wasn't it for me.
He's a
I was just
pastel.
like-
It's
I was
true.
like, okay, maybe he's just a really good sword fighter, and that's why they cast him. And it's like, yeah, he's got 2 good sword fighting scenes. Whoop-de fucking do. That's 20% of your fucking swashbuckle movie. Hello, where is the sword fighting? I want Zorro shit. Bring me
Yes.
some goddamn Zorro.
You know what movie did this concept way better?
Which?
Stardust.
Stardust!
Stardust. It's the same movie.
Stardust.
There's an airship.
Stardust.
There's swashbuckling. There's defending. There's defending a woman as they're trying to escape. There's pirates. There's all kinds of crazy shit. It's literally the same movie.
There is a distinct
that
lack
one?
of Robert De Niro in Three Musketeers.
Oh yeah, that's true. De Niro in a dress. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my.
I loved the dialogue that seemed written specifically for the trailer, where they were just doing exposition of their thoughts and their mission, and I'm like, the only reason this exists is so you can put it in the trailer. And it's
What?
I don't know if some parts were supposed to be
I put it on the
serious,
floor.
if they were supposed to be
needed
campy,
the
because the
mic.
movie was kind of somewhere in the middle. Drove me crazy. Pick one direction and follow it. Don't do both. Don't stay in the middle. Do something bold. Don't be ambivalent.
What's that line from The Incredibles? What are you waiting around for? Something incredible, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A movie full of passable.
Basically, every scene that involved a wide shot of a city or a port or something like that looked like hot fucking garbage.
Yeah.
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 Get a 1970s matte painter or something, because fuck, whatever you're doing is shit, okay? It's shit.
Jim Maxwell needs work. Give him some work.
This is Pirates of the Caribbean on a very, very limited budget.
It's a very anemic Pirates of the Caribbean for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pirates has a $200 million budget. This didn't have that.
No.
Not
Milady
look like it.
had a genuinely compelling death scene that they undo at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sequels.
Yeah. Doesn't that happen in the book?
I don't believe.
Is her character in the book?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm pretty sure she ends up dead. Yes, she stabs herself in the book.
Yeah. Because I remember in the Disney one years ago that somebody jumped off a cliff. I remember that.
Well, and she poisons Constance as well. So there's stakes to all the interconnected characters.
Yeah, it's interesting. Weirdly, this movie feels more like an espionage flick because of all of the scenes of Milady, because Anderson is up his wife's ass about that shit, I guess, and has a
Love you, woman.
quota that he needs to see his wife be stealthy and spy shit. But the fantastically fucked up thing about this is that there's actually more intrigue and backstabbing and twists and turns in the plot of the book, and that would have been more interesting than those same scenes with laser wire avoidance and shit that we've seen in Mission Impossible and Resident Evil and 37 other movies. We did not need that. It did not offer value. It wasn't that interesting. It's something we've seen almost identically shot for shot before. Why is this there unless you get a huge boner out of seeing your wife do it? That is literally the only reason that I can think of. The scene with her and the laser wire getting to the diamonds exists. Like, there were legitimate traps back in the day that they could have used that would have been more interesting. They could have used puzzles. Yep. They could have used any number of things that would have been a more interesting plot device. Also, by the way, at the very beginning, when they blow a hole into the fucking bottom of the Canal of Venice, and the water washes all the soldiers out, but they all swim up it, that's not how water works.
It's video game logic, for sure.
Yeah, it's game logic.
Yeah. It's so fucking confusing to me. It's so perplexing. I'm like,
Again,
you could have
matters.
done any number of more interesting things in that scenario, and you did that, and that's your start of your film?
Did any of you notice the fucking Batman as Arameus? Luke Evans' character is basically Batman at the beginning. He's standing on top of a building and he drops him with the cape and he's like beating the shit out of people.
I was thinking Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah, okay, I can see that too.
Because Anderson is a gamer. He obviously has played games. He loves games, but this is clearly ripping off like Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed. I actually noted in the chat when I was watching this, I said, if you take out the Three Musketeers and you told me this was a Final Fantasy movie, I wouldn't disbelieve it.
Oh yeah, with the airships.
It's
and
basically a Final Fantasy movie with the Three Musketeers shoved into it.
Final Fantasy 3 starts off with airships that look just like this.
Yeah, and that's why it's one of the best ones.
True.
You don't get an airship until the 40th hour in Final Fantasy 7. Fuck that game.
I have issues with the movie, but I just have one that I think really points out how much and little thought was put into the movie at the same time. So there's a scene where D'Artagnan has been captured, but it turns out it was part of their plan all along to have him get captured so that they could yoink the airship.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what they do in that scene?
What?
They kill D'Artagnan.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
He survived.
Oh, yeah.
He survives because of plot armor, but they're shooting bombs, fire, and bullets into the
And
room.
he's in the center.
And he's in the middle of the room, and his escape is into their bullets.
Yeah, I can kind of like they did the same shit in the Matrix. I'm okay with it. Whatever.
Okay, but in the Matrix, the scene geography works out that you understand like where everything's going because it's one minigun. One minigun is way better than whatever contraptions they had that were launching fire and bullets and random bombs from Porthos.
Yes, the whole
And could you imagine
broadside.
how good that scene could have been if Orlando Bloom and D'Artagnan would have had like an epic sword battle that was like one of the ones in one of the earlier Pirates of the Caribbean films where it's very Jackie Chan inspired in that there's a lot of improvisational combat where you're using a lot of the items in the room and a lot of the people against one another. They could have done so many interesting things, and that frustrates me because like I said, Orlando Bloom was just grievously underutilized. He is fantastically good at like old style weapons. He could have done any number of really badass things and he stood there and looked pretty. And yes, my loins appreciated that, but my brain needed more.
But also that brings up a point that I have, which is that Athos and what the hell is Orlando Bloom's character's name? The Buckingham. They set up and there's this antagonistic relationship between the two of them. That means that somewhere down the line they have to have a sword fight.
Yes.
They never do.
No.
They never even meet after the first act.
Future movie.
Like D'Artagnan and Rousseau.
A future
like
movie
I
that never
expected.
happened.
True.
Stop committing all of the best parts of your plot to your sequel that you will never get because your first movie blows goat ass.
Oh, yeah. That is counting your chickens before they hatch in film form.
It's cart
That's
before
called-
the horse. It's cart before
That's
the
called the
horse.
Dark Universe lesson.
Or the DC film lesson.
Yeah. There's
I feel like Anderson admires Zack Snyder because a lot of this does feel a lot like his movies.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the overuse of slow motion, the extremely tenuous plot that's not important. It's mostly about the visuals.
Yep.
It has a sort of undercurrent of masculinity to it, buried in there somewhere.
Yeah,
absolutely. There really was a masculine tint to this. Like,
yeah, very much. Like that's kind of Anderson's thing. If you look at like the Resident Evil movies, people say, "Oh, they're totally feminist pieces." Well, not really, because Milla Jovovich's character is basically just a guy with boobs. It's not really a feminist piece.
You do bring up you bring up a great question that I'd like to turn out to our Discord. Which director would you prefer to see their movies through a very gay lens? Because I feel like both directors present these like accidentally very like homoerotic stories, and to me, BVS as like these two guys want to fuck each other is a little more interesting. And then this movie as the Three Musketeers are a triad, kind of interesting. Let me throw that out into the chat.
I kept thinking that they three-way Milla Jovovich. I kept thinking that the whole time.
They're in France. They definitely Eiffel Towered. But don't.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Thank you. I'm here all night.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
I would like to point out this is probably one of the more watchable movies that we've done this season. As far as
it's not painful. It's fine.
It's a very watchable bad movie.
It's a get drunk with your friends movie.
Yes,
exactly. I've already forgotten most of this movie, but I breezed through it when I watched it. So,
because some of the parts are so left field. Like they fucking hang that guy with a noose randomly out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He died. He definitely died.
Yeah.
They yoinked him up by his neck and his own body weight. You don't survive that.
Yeah.
It's got all.
No matter what Sin City told you, it's not possible.
Right.
I think if this wasn't the Three Musketeers, if you called this something different, I would have probably liked it a little bit more because I just know the source material well enough that.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, like having the Three Musketeers in this movie does not help the movie.
No, not at all.
This is clearly like marketing for the using the brand for a franchise, but why do it like this?
Well, and again, this is like public domain, so obviously there's going to be like this is like free. This is the golden corral of filmmaking. You get to show up and everyone knows the story, so you get to have your smorgasbord and all that. That's literally what they're going for here. I'd be interested what the non-Three Musketeers title would be. Like, say you change nothing about the movie but the title. What do you call this movie?
Crown
Warship.
Jewel.
Oh. That's actually not bad.
I heard Crown Jewel and Airship. Did I hear that right?
I said Warship.
Yeah, Warship. Okay, I could see that. It's better than Battleship.
That's not saying
Everything's
much.
better than Battleship. Taylor Kitsch ruins everything.
Jivenich Kinnamintil Bullwood.
Yes.
The name just keeps getting bigger.
I am never going to remember that name.
I will. I want it on a T-shirt.
Should we add Logan Lerman to this?
No, he's
boy.
good. He just got a bad rap in this one. He's actually, I think at one point he was possibly cast as Spider-Man before they found Tom Holland.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think he got pushed as he was on like the top 5 and they went with Tom Holland. But he's good in that movie Fury. He's good in that.
Mm-hmm.
He's also on a TV show on Amazon Prime called Hunters, which is pretty good. It's not great, but it's
See, I always heard that he was good, but I never seen anything besides this and Percy Jackson that he was in. But I forgot he was in Fury, and he actually was excellent.
Yeah, he's really good in Fury. The movie itself hasn't aged very well, but it's a pretty decent movie for just like an action movie. It's pretty good.
Do you know what his first movie was?
What?
The Patriot, and he was Mel Gibson's son, the younger one that shoots the red coat on the trail.
Oh, right on. Nice.
Yeah. What was it? Aim small, miss small.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was that kid.
I haven't seen The Patriot in like 15 years.
Oh
dude.
boy, it's good.
Everybody I've heard talk about it says it's terrible, but I don't remember much about it.
It came out on my birthday, so the June 30 thing definitely sways me. It's the best Roland Emmerich movie though. Like hands down, I would say that's his best movie.
Yeah. I know it's massively historically inaccurate.
Oh yeah, no, you're not watching this to learn about the Revolutionary War.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're watching this to watch Mel Gibson just murder people.
Yeah. I got like Last of the Mohican vibes when he's killing all those guys in the woods.
Oh yeah.
It felt like Last of the Mohicans.
All right, so apologies for getting off topic. I do recommend The Patriot though. For this
Patreon content.
For this movie, any major glowing issues that anyone else wants to point out before we switch to a break? I know that my two major ones are just they tried to kill D'Artagnan and James Corden's in it, and apart from that, it's horny, so I had a good time.
Oh, one of the things that frustrated me is when D'Artagnan and What's-His-Face were fighting in the bowels of the airship while the airship was getting tossed around by the, storm and stuff like that. They're just, standing there like it's normal, and then it's like the ship is on its side almost. I'm like, that's not how gravity works, my friends.
Yeah, there was a movie that came out, I think, about 10 years prior to this called Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World.
Yes.
Masturbating.
Yeah, and
Commander.
that film, it's actually it's a phenomenal film.
Oh, yeah.
But in that movie, the way the cinematography was done was that it felt like you were on a ship, so the camera is always kind of rocking back and forth to give the impression that they're on a boat. Yeah, it makes you feel sick.
It's awful.
Because everybody on the boat was constantly sick because they're just constantly on the ocean. The whole movie takes place on a boat.
That was the birth, that and Paranormal Activity were the birth of clickbait movie articles.
What was the clickbait about Master and Commander?
This is the movie that makes you sick was the title.
Oh, yeah, well, in that case, it actually does because you feel kind of queasy because the camera constantly keeps moving.
Yeah, that and then Paranormal Activity was this is the movie people are walking out of the theaters. It any kind of grabby title. I remember those two specifically coming out around the same time and just had those idiotic fucking titles. That's click here to find out why.
Walking out because the movie scared them or because the movie sucked?
To be determined.
I had the same problem with Jarhead. Jarhead was trying to do that motion camera because Marine's always in motion, and I'm like, I can't sit through this. I'm going to vom.
No, that was the Jason Bourne bullshit. It was
God.
It was the time when the Bourne films were like, shaky cam is the big thing now. Let's just constantly keep doing it. It's like, oh God, stop it.
Shaky cam and cut every second during a fight.
And cut on impact. Boom, boom, boom.
Cut before the impact, you idiot.
What's happening? Who's happening? Who's somebody throwing to the ground? Are we in a corner? Are we tumbling off the roof? What is happening?
Who's happening? Why is happening?
We'll find out when we switch to the satellite view.
Oh,
I will say, there's an egregiously bad line I wanted to address in this movie.
Oh, please do.
He says, Ray Stevenson's character, can't remember his name.
Porthos.
He said, Porthos, there we go. Women have a million ways to say no, and only some of them mean yes.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was a little icky.
Yeah,
well, that was definitely
a
sign of the times type thing.
Yeah.
Can't say no if she has a gag in her mouth.
God.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I had to...
Don't like that.
I had to make sure that was pointed out. If you're watching this movie, be prepared for that line.
True.
Yeah. Like I said, this is a very masculine slant in the movie.
Absolutely.
I feel like that Anderson and Snyder would get along really well if they ended up meeting up in person.
But actually, Zack Snyder does like to show off the male body as well.
Oh yeah,
so that might be a part where they do disagree on.
Well, that's because he's also a big tough guy. He deadlifts 500 pounds. The guy is in supreme shape. Anderson is kind of thin as a stick.
Yeah, he's a little scrawny.
He's a little on the scrawny side. He's about the same size as his wife.
Wow. So, Three Musketeers issues. I would like to posit the final one, maybe. Mia Jovovich definitely died when she dove off of that airship.
Yes, there's no way.
Yes.
Hitting the water from that height is like hitting concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is possible to survive it. It is possible, but not without injury.
And not in the clothing she's wearing. That was heavy. She would have
she would have drowned at least.
She would have been knocked unconscious and pulled under.
And by the way, how the hell did they even find her? That's a big ocean.
Well, they were in the English Channel, so it's only 10 miles.
10 miles to find a single person looking from the sky? Okay.
You're going to make...
I'll give you a little leeway,
They
but
were
Jesus Christ.
behind them.
You're going to make me defend this movie, Jesse.
God damn it.
They literally gave the Buckingham... was that...
Buckingham,
Yeah. They gave him the line, "We were following Athos," so they were literally trailing behind in a actual boat. That's how they blessed it away. Again, that's fine. They found her body for sure, but she died when she hit the water.
Yeah,
maybe she landed on a boat like on Assassin's Creed, and a Bay of Hell, like in Assassin's Creed. That's what happened.
Yes. The hay bale saved her.
In the middle of the English Channel. It sucks because...
There's a hay bale in the middle of the English Channel, of course. It makes sense.
The significance of her taking her own life, dying in her own way, like, that was a really good, powerful scene, and it was one of the best scenes of the film, and they undo it, like, less than 20 minutes later. It's such a pisser.
Speaking of...
It's also very...
Speaking of...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. One more positive, even though I know we went on to negatives. One more positive. They do a lot of defining character via action, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
They don't define it much else other ways, but like by action. For example, D'Artagnan challenging the three of them in same place, same time, not same time, same place, 1 hour after each other. Like that's that kind of impulsiveness, and then her actually sacrificing, actually killing herself so that he wouldn't have to, is a really, like, the way to show that she did care, because it was up in the air.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff like that.
And one of the things that I like is that we always complain that there's, like, no scenes of characters, like, getting to, like, hang out together. There are some really good scenes with all of the Musketeers together, and I loved those scenes. They were some of my favorite scenes in the film.
The sarcasm in those scenes too, like you can tell, like they're three catty wives hanging out with each other.
I would watch the four of them just sit and drink for an hour and a half. Like that's a good film.
Yeah,
and just like tell stories.
It also brings up another problem, is that it's called the Three Musketeers, but it's not really about the Three Musketeers at all.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, could you clarify that, Seth?
So, okay, and also I want to skip backwards a little bit to Milady's actions and stuff. In the book, this is a very morally gray story. The note that she gets from the cardinal, that note gets passed to each of the Three Musketeers to clear their names, and it ends up with D'Artagnan, who didn't want to use the note to clear his name to become a musketeer. So at no point except for the very end of the story is he ever a musketeer. He's little bitch boy proving himself. So the Three Musketeers, they are a unit, and they're kind of already past their prime, which was maybe the most accurate thing the movie did. The idea that he's coming into this already established group thing. But the note from Milady, she gets executed, and they've stolen the note from her, essentially. And the cardinal is, like, impressed by the fact that they would be so conniving, and offers to allow them to use that. So then it goes around to all the different musketeers. The Three Musketeers refuse it, and then D'Artagnan's the one that ends up with it, because they're like, yeah, we're all going to retire because we're old as fuck and we don't want to do this anymore. You're the one that's young and can keep doing this shit. So it's kind of a origin story for D'Artagnan through the lens of an established group. It's almost like, what if you told a Justice League story about the end of the Justice League, and then Superboy comes into his own in that story. And
to that end, one of the things that frustrates me about this film is that I hate when a character gets something that they haven't worked for and they don't deserve.
Right.
And in the book, D'Artagnan spends the entire book working for it and finally gets it at the end. And I do have a very short synopsis of the book that I'm going to go over a little bit in my pitch, because it's part of my pitch. To get into that more. But it frustrates me when you just give the young hotshot kid everything he wanted without him having to earn it.
Right.
I thought the movie was going to be him becoming a musketeer, but he was one in the first 10 minutes. Like,
right.
As soon as he got there, his little adventure, now he's a musketeer.
Constance dies in the book. She's poisoned by Milady. Like, there's so many subplots that get just trimmed out for lack of good editing, I guess. Not sure.
Well, because the film is a quote-unquote family movie.
Right.
They cut out a lot of the really nasty stuff.
Yeah. The I mean, basically, the last 30 minutes of this movie are nothing like the book at all. Like, you're
I'm not shocked.
Yeah, you're totally divorced from the actual plot at that point.
I have no doubts that there are no airships in the book.
Yeah, that's not the ending they were leading up to. It's just it's a downside because I think all of those offshoots, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what brings out the character and all the nuance in this story, because it's otherwise a pretty straightforward swashbuckler.
Yeah, the book is really good, and that's a significant part of my pitch.
Yes.
Got it.
I will say, even though we all love Christoph Waltz, the problem is that he's no Tim Curry.
Well, no one is Tim Curry except Tim Curry.
That's true. Tim Curry is the Cardinal. That's a visual I'd love.
Oh my God, I would take that casting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He was in the Disney one.
And then you make Christoph Waltz Orlando Bloom's character.
There you go. Now you got it.
And then Orlando Bloom can be Mads Mikkelsen, and then Mads can not do this movie and throw his name into that pile.
Yeah, I feel like he just did this because it was like a way to get money.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a paycheck movie for him.
Yeah.
That was a great thing playing there.
Erin has mentioned her pitch. I think that's a healthy pivot into our break. When we come back, let's fix the Three Musketeers 2011, which I think unanimously is worth a watch if you're drunk hanging out with friends.
Yeah, it's passable. If it's available for free somewhere, yeah, sure, but I wouldn't pay for it.
It is free on YouTube. Like, officially from YouTube. Not like pirated on YouTube. Like, the official movie is released for free on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because they have...
Because it's a winner.
They have that thing with ads where you can watch movies with ads for free.
Oh,
yeah.
Right,
They just bought a lot of these, like, floaters, basically.
Yeah, the blunderbusters.
The blunderbusters.
Exactly.
Oh, man, you got to trademark that. That is perfect.
Like, oh man, like, you know what? Let's make a T-shirt that says list of current blunderbusters, and we'll put all things like the Mummy, the Three Musketeers,
yes,
just like all these crap movies that came out that failed horribly that were supposed to start franchise.
I'm still trying to find an app that will conglomerate all of Jivanich into one face,
one person,
and be like, this is the face of the crimes against cinema. It's a wanted poster.
Yo, we need to find that. That'd be amazing.
Just use the image of Graham. That's all you
That's another T-shirt.
At this point, the DNA has definitely run down that way. Let's jump to a break real quick. This has been a really great time. I'm glad that we got to this point on this movie. I didn't think we would. I thought all of us were going to come in and be like, it was fine. Kind of boring. But we had some ideas.
Paul W.S. Anderson is a director that I want to like. He seems like a nice guy, but I just don't like his movies. Maybe I like Event Horizon, but even that is just Hellraiser in space, and we already have Hellraiser in space. Yes, it's me, Jesse, here with your film recommendation for the week. I was trying to think of a film that could compare with this one as a film recommendation, but I mentioned Stardust in this episode, but Stardust was already selected as a film recommendation from a previous episode, so I couldn't pick that, so I dug through my brain to find a movie that was comparable to this, and I figured out one that's definitely worth watching. The original Clash of the Titans from 1981. No, not the terrible remake starring fucking Jivanich Kinnamington Bullwood. The original starring Harry Hamlin. If you want good sword fighting, swashbuckling, adventure films, that's a good one to go to. It's, definitely got some problems now. There's some 80isms. The woman in the film is a literal trophy for the main character. It's a little on the odd side now. And also the visual effects, while I love Ray Harryhausen, some of the effects definitely have shown their age. But there's some really good stuff in it. There's a lot of really cool moments. There's some great sword and sorcery moments, and the Medusa sequence is fantastic. And if you're a God of War fan, this was the main inspiration for God of War. This is definitely full-on God of War if you put Kratos into that role. And Harry Hamlin himself even appears as his character Perseus in God of War 2. So, if you want a good adventure film in the spirit of this Three Musketeers film, the original Clash of the Titans is right up your alley. And now, back to the pitch.
Thank you for sticking around for the Film Rescue Show. We're talking about The Three Musketeers from 2011 in jaw-dropping 3D. It was very mediocre 3D, I'm not going to lie.
Well, it's post-converted. It wasn't shot in 3D.
Yeah. How is My Bloody Valentine still the best 3D movie that came out of that era?
No, hell, dude, Dredd.
Oh, I forgot Dredd was in 3D. No, you're right. I changed my answer.
Yeah.
That was 2012, right?
Yeah. 1 year after this.
Okay, yeah. Dredd. Mm-hmm.
Yep, 2012.
Erin stuck her hand up and volunteered to take this movie, although
she decided to jump on this grenade.
See, here's the thing. I kind of cheated because I already knew that I wasn't going to touch the plot. I was just going to use Dumas' plot.
Yes.
Cheating.
Hold on. I promise you this isn't cheating. I did actually run part of it by Seth today because I was like, is this cheating? And it's not. It's totally not cheating.
Well, I mean, you did the same thing with Doolittle where you just threw the whole movie out.
Oh, no.
But this is totally different. This is keeping with 90% of it. This is keeping with the source material.
Okay. As much as possible.
And you cannot.
It's a very good pitch. I'm very ready for the delivery.
So I have actually two separate pitches. The first I'm just going to go over very, very briefly because basically the first pitch is just take the source material, be very true to it, and do a very realistic take on it. Keep, for the most part, the actors that we have from this film. Replace James Corden with Sean Astin or somebody who can play the character with a lot less camp.
Thank you.
And then just do a very faithful, historically accurate, everybody's dirty, a Game of Thrones almost vibe realism. Because I think that's the truest way to do the story. However, that is a total cop-out. Now,
when we say realistic, don't do it like Robin Hood realistic.
No, more like... Yeah.
And I'm not referencing Zero Dark Loxley. I'm referencing the Russell Crowe Ridley Scott one, which is like Saving Private Ryan in the Dark Ages. It's so bad. It's so bad.
So I have a very brief synopsis it is a long book, so it's not terribly long. I just want to go over the plot of the book because I'm not modifying the plot. Here's the thing with the Three Musketeers. If you're going to do a telling of the Three Musketeers, it's set in France. It's pretty hard set. You have a lot of things that you can't really change. Back then, France was, it had a very specific political situation. Most of the people were white. You had a certain tech level, and you can alter things like that. But I think that is a kind of... Here's my thing. I didn't change the plot, I changed the style. So let me tell you what the plot is, and then we'll discuss the style, because that's the part that's interesting. Mm-hmm. So, the plot of the film. D'Artagnan arrives in Paris and, seeking to join the King's Musketeers, goes to see their captain, Treville. I'm sorry, I suck at French pronunciation. I'm going to fuck all of these up. I apologize in advance to all of our Francophiles.
It's Trevier. I'm sorry, only because I'm a half French speaker myself. Double L's are Y's, so Trevier that's it.
Okay, I'm probably gonna fuck this up a lot, but okay. Trevier. In his haste, he offends 3 of the best musketeers, Porthos, Athos, and Aramis, and challenges each to a duel that afternoon. All 3 musketeers arrive at the appointed location at the same time to duel with D'Artagnan. However, they are interrupted by the Cardinal's guards. The musketeers plus D'Artagnan happily engage the guards and beat them soundly, and D'Artagnan is accepted in a friend and a good fighting companion. Now, the stakes in the book, I think it's like 4 versus 5, and the particular interest is that, like, it's one of his best fighters that they managed to best in those 5. So it's going to be more like one-on-one combat that's, more close, more personal, is what I'm thinking. D'Artagnan settles into his new life, hoping to soon become a musketeer, and rents an apartment above the shop of Monsieur Bonacieux? Bonacieux? We're going to say Monsieur B for my sanity. However, he finds himself in the middle.
All the actors in the movie didn't even bother with accents. You don't have to.
Exactly. That's what I'm figuring.
That was a negative. You're right.
In the middle.
They didn't fucking care.
Yeah. Accents were all over the place.
Nobody sounded French. Like, nothing matters.
However, he finds himself in the middle of the foulest plot in France. The Cardinal and the evil Milady are trying to discredit Queen Anne in the eyes of King Louis and the country, thus ultimately giving the Cardinal more power over the King. The Queen is trying to repel the amorous advances of the English Duke of Buckingham, and Constance, Monsieur B's wife, has become the trusted messenger between the Queen and Buckingham, as well as a victim of the Cardinal, who sees her as an avenue to expose the Queen. There's all of this, like, intrigue that they invented it for the film, but it was real in the book. And I think that was to make it more family-friendly, more modern. Mm-hmm. But, like, marriages back then were political alliances. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. They weren't for love. It's not like infidelity the way we'd see infidelity. Get over it, people. D'Artagnan becomes involved when he meets Milady and is smitten by her charms, and when Constance asks him for help, he is smitten again. About this time, Athos, to distract D'Artagnan from thoughts of Milady and Constance, tells him about a man who married a woman who he later learned was a convicted thief. He believes the evil woman is now dead. The man is, of course, Athos, but he doesn't tell D'Artagnan that. Next, the Cardinal, through Milady and his henchman Rochefort, trick Buckingham into coming to Paris. Buckingham goes into the Queen's chambers, but she refuses his love. He asks for remembrance, and the Queen gives him 12 diamond studs. Then, with Constance and D'Artagnan's help, he leaves England safely. Even though the Cardinal doesn't trap Buckingham this time, his spies inform him of these happenings. Still plotting to trap the Queen, the Cardinal suggests King Louis give a ball 10 days hence at which the Queen can wear the diamond studs the King has given her, and sends Milady to London to steal the jewels from Buckingham. Completely different who is stealing from who and where.
Yes.
Learning of the ball, the Queen writes to Buckingham to return the jewels to her, and she asks D'Artagnan to take the letter to England. D'Artagnan enlists the help of Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, and the 4 race off to England. The 4 friends soon are separated, but D'Artagnan eventually arrives in London. However, when Buckingham gives D'Artagnan the diamond studs, they discover 2 are missing. Buckingham realizes that Milady, who arrives earlier, has managed to steal them, but he commands a jeweler to make duplicates and arranges to hand over the complete set to D'Artagnan at the dock in the morning. The next morning, Milady arrives at the dock first and tries to get the jewels, but Buckingham will not give her the studs, so Milady stabs him. D'Artagnan arrives, preventing her from stealing the jewels, but not in time to prevent Buckingham's death.
Uh-oh!
Mm-hmm.
Milady hurries back to Paris ahead of D'Artagnan and tells the Cardinal of her partial success. She believes that, even if D'Artagnan brings the jewels, 2 will be missing. The king arrives at the ball and notes the absence of the Queen's diamond studs. He demands that she gets them, saying he will come back when she is properly dressed. With time running out, D'Artagnan finally arrives and gives the Queen the jewels, the original 10 plus 2 new ones. The king returns, and the Queen is happily wearing all 12 diamonds. In the meantime, the Queen has sent Constance to a convent where she can be safe from the Cardinal. She tells this to D'Artagnan, but Milady overhears and hurries off to seek revenge. D'Artagnan gathers up his 3 friends, and the race is on again. Milady, disguised, arrives at the convent before the Musketeers and secretly pours poison into a glass of wine and urges Constance to drink. Mm-hmm. The 4 friends arrive as Milady rushes out and Constance dies in D'Artagnan's arms. Finally, the four catch up with Milady. They accuse her of various crimes and pass a sentence of death, and Athos recognizes her as his long-ago wife whom he thought was dead. However, Milady cheats them of revenge by stabbing herself. The Musketeers kneel and ask for God's forgiveness on all of them. The actual plot of the book is so much better than...
Yeah, that
This
was
is
very
why
interesting.
the film...
That was gripping.
Because I like that with that plot. I don't want to fuck with that. So what I do want to do is I want to free us somewhat of the. I want to. You know how I was complaining that they did all of these interesting concepts in this film, but they only went halfway. I want to do a full stylized version. Claudio Miranda cinematography. Ryan Coogler directs. Set in a solar punk future.
Oh!
Solar punk
Wow.
is
Solar
basically
punk future.
a post. It's like after the apocalypse, there is actual utopia and hope. Like right now, there is so much darkness and gross stuff. We need a utopia, or at least something that promises a future. Now,
So similar to a Miyazaki?
Oh. An
Ooh,
animated
I like
version with
that.
Miyazaki, I would watch the fuck out of that.
yes.
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah.
it,
So-
make this an animated movie, and everything's forgiven.
I have something a little more interesting than that. Setting it in Solarpunk allows us to add some diversity to the casting and allows us to set up visuals that are not commonly seen in other films that will stand out in a very big way. I envision this to look very similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, except there is
Oh.
some technology that is still used by people that is focused on sustainability, art, and agriculture that is still commonly used. By and large, conflict has been minimalized, but new rulers have been inspired by recent access of records from the past, and they've seen how to manipulate society into war to gain profit. The Musketeers are one of the few groups that have held on to any sort of combat tradition. Thus, they become embroiled by the conflict that is starting. While most people have cast aside weaponry, they believe that fighting is an art form. However, they have never done a considerable amount of practical fighting, never taken lives. So as the society shifts and they are forced into a position where they need to start taking lives, we see them have to adjust to this concept, which is almost alien to them. You see Priest Boy Aramis having to deal with taking life for the first time. You see D'Artagnan's naivety tempered by the act of taking human lives. You have these visuals that are very inspired by like Horizon Zero Dawn, by these I don't know if you've ever seen hotels in Singapore that have like they're very sustainable. They've got solar panels on the top. They've got like trees and tropical things just draping down the sides.
I just dropped a
It would be
picture in the
something-
Discord of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. You've got something that's completely unlike any type
Oh,
of
yes, yes,
swashbuckling
yes.
film that we've seen. And then you just follow the plot that Dumas beautifully set out for us that is actually a good plot.
And very adaptable. Like nothing about
Yes.
political intrigue, poisonings, anything like that doesn't not apply across different genres or settings.
It doesn't have to
Yes.
take place back in those times.
Exactly.
Yeah, and putting it in the future, you really can cast whoever you want. You can. I was actually kind of torn whether I wanted them to use like a laser sword, like a lightsaber type thing,
Ooh.
or if I wanted them to actually use steel or something like that. But there's a weapon.
Anybody play the game No More Heroes?
Oh yeah, the electric swords.
Yeah, one of those.
Ooh. I like that. But I like this concept of having to watch them, these people that really haven't had any darkness in their life, experience darkness for the first time.
Yeah.
Aaron, you mad genius. I really love that.
Visually, I think basically you're stabbing at what if Horizon Zero Dawn and Equilibrium had a baby?
Yes. I'm down with that.
Like that.
And
Yeah,
I some of the visuals I was thinking about Black Panther, that's why I That's why I was thinking Coogler as the director. The
Mhm.
CGI, obviously, we're not going to go with Disney for CGI. We're going to go with a team that can really, because the CGI is going to matter. We're going to beast mode the fucking CGI.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna take our time.
The only casting that I have for this is I would really like to see Zendaya as Milady.
Ooh.
It's Milady.
I think she could rock at that role.
And what didn't I also suggest to you Tom Holland as D'Artagnan?
Yes, I think that. I think that
I
if
mean,
we
they
do
kind
the
of have to go together.
if we do the historically accurate one, definitely Tom Holland. But we can really do anybody if we set it in this solar punk future, because we're not trapped in white as fuck historical France,
Right.
you know?
True.
Well, I mean, white as fuck, you say that, but like Dumas was black.
Yeah, he was black.
Yeah, that's why I
France has been
really wanted to go with a more diverse direction, because of the fact that he's black.
France has been a haven for black people across specifically that time, Dumas' own life, and even into, I just watched Inglourious Bastards today, and there is a black cinema owner in that movie.
Well, and there is a famous song that Vic is going to have to say the name of. Vic, do you know what I'm getting at? N-words in Paris?
As soon as it clicked in my brain, I was like, wait, nope, I know exactly what you mean.
I fucking love that song.
Thinking of Josephine Baker and all that.
These films have always been very white, and that frustrates me because Dumas was not white, because France was, such a haven for people of color for so many... through like the period of American slavery, for the period before that, like it's always been an easier place to be accepted. And I hate the fact that literally every interpretation of this has been like caucasity. So I really wanted to do something that was utopic, or at least hopeful, because it's 2020, bitches. And I wanted to do something that allowed me to diversify the casting, because even though France has a history of being very accepting, the second you cast a black person or any person of color in a role in the Three Musketeers, you're going to have a bunch of white people bitch about it. And if you set it in the future, you can be like, dude, it's the future.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
There is no French. There is no France. It don't matter anymore.
Well, and the poster sells itself. Solar punk Eiffel Tower. That's the poster. Like,
oh my
sold.
God, yes. Yes, with just like tropical plants just draping over it. And I love it. I love it.
That's
So
such a
Jesse, do you
visual.
still think that this was a cop-out pitch, or do you think that this was a good pitch?
That's good. It works because by changing the setting, it definitely helps.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, just changing that one thing definitely changes the entire thing, because it allows you to connect with it in a different way, as opposed to just, oh, look at that, they're in Paris, but not really.
Well, and his like I said earlier, his stories are infinitely adaptable. Like Count of
Yes.
Monte Cristo, imagine a prisoner on an asteroid prison for the prison
Such a thing exists. It's there's one of my favorite books of all time called "The Star Is My Destination" by Alfred Bester. It's just the Count of Monte Cristo.
and it's their human stories are so adaptable, and they are really perfect for these like reimaginings in these really fantastic settings. I love that. Like as soon as Aaron messaged me, I was like, "Yep, perfect. Nope, sold. Like I'm here for it.
Yes.
It's exactly the thing."
It's funny because Seth had said when we were talking about it, because I was like, hey, I'm going to go with the actual book plot. Is that too much of a cop-out? Because I was afraid it was. But we had discussed cyberpunk, and I think it could work as a cyberpunk as well.
100%.
I just think cyberpunk would have been just way too easy. I spent a lot of time thinking about which setting would be perfect for this and would really tell the story in a way that it hadn't been told before, and would also be visually pretty different from 99% of the other films that come out. And like I'm just imagining some of the visuals, like Horizon Zero Dawn mixed with Black Panther mixed with Oblivion.
Yep.
Like
God,
it could
it's
be
getting my blood veins.
it could be so good. And I'm down for it.
I was gonna say there's so much you can just explore with in this setting, if the kind of themes you can touch on, and the things that doing that story in a future like this, like the possibilities are just like endless, and it's so different. It's actually different.
Yeah.
Like, how many movies do we see like this?
A hopeful future is a little more exciting these days than
Yes.
post-apocalypse. I'm a little tired of it. I'm a little burned out.
Right.
on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, me too.
Exactly.
I could not have written this as, I think because of, that's why I was kind of leaning away from cyberpunk, because a lot of times it is kind of a little post-apocalyptic or at least like mid-apocalyptic. I want polyamory to be an element of this film as well, because you do have a lot of these, people that are, involved in multiple relationships. And, I want it to be acceptable, and I think setting it in the future detaches the audience from the stigma of modern relationships somewhat. Well, this is a world that is, ideally post-scarcity, and because of that, you don't really have the capitalistic pressures where you need to get married in order to afford a house,
Right.
in order to have childcare. I like being able to explore those themes, and I think that the plot of the book really fits into that well.
Well, and not only that, like think about in a future where it's all about sustainability, you have multi-partner situations where like one of them teaches the kids and one of them is the agricultural person that is out farming, and they're going to need help obviously, and then you like everybody's filling a role as well as filling a relationship role. It totally makes, especially in a future setting where like you can kind of strip off the puritanical American stuff and be like, well, no, 300 years in the future, everybody's fucking. So, like, let's just, hang a lampshade on that one.
Yeah, you can say so much about human nature by showing the society how it's like starts over, like how society rebuilds itself after in this new future. Like, and the roles that people set up and the way they act now, and then seeing how people find relics from the past and dig that up and what they relate to. It's just there's so much you can say about humans. Like, I love it. I love this.
And I just love Horizon Zero Dawn. If I can fit anything from Horizon Zero Dawn into
You're making me want to replay it, to be honest.
I kind of really want to replay it, too.
I never did play the DLC, so I don't know if it was any good.
I didn't know there was DLC until literally right now.
Yeah,
there is. Yeah.
There is the weapon that you get, because she has the melee weapon, and you can, like, get it electrified towards the end of the game. It's like that staff, so I could see that being used in this film as well, something like that. I hope that they make a movie of Horizon Zero Dawn and that it's good, because if it's bad, I'm going to cry. I'm just going to cry.
The advantage to Horizon...
Didn't they mention it?
It did get optioned. I think Jesse brought that up in the chat, right?
I'm looking it up. I don't think it was.
The advantage to that story is there's a lot of side plots, but there's one main plot that is very cinematically adaptable. So you might lose game stuff making it a movie, but you don't lose the core. Whereas like something like The Last of Us, it's kind of hard to adapt into a movie. You need at least a series because everything leads to the next thing.
There's so much.
That's why they're doing a TV show on
It's
HBO.
very dense source material.
Exactly.
Okay. So what about?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Vic.
I was gonna say, what about Winston Duke as Porthos?
Oh yeah, from Black Panther and Us.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Winston Duke as Porthos,
I could see
perfect. I really love to point out the original French name for D'Artagnan. His name is Charles de Batz de Castlemore d'Artagnan.
Oh my god.
So Charlie.
Yeah, pointing out how much of a mouthful that name is would be great. And I'm here for pronouncing people's names correctly. If you're going to make me say all 16 syllables, I'm going to say them. But that is like a sentence. Your name is a sentence.
I also want John Boyega in this just because I right now he's probably one of my favorite human beings.
Yeah. I
Cast him as the ladies' man.
Oh,
yes.
Aramis. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cast
yeah,
him
yeah.
as my husband, and we're down.
Ooh, okay. If we're going for out there,
I'm getting flashbacks of you guys remember the Kenneth Branagh adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing from 1993
no,
with Keanu
No.
Reeves and Denzel Washington and Michael Keaton? Remember
no.
that?
No, I never
What?
saw that.
What? Is it good?
Yes, this is good. It's really good.
Oh,
Look it up.
okay. I love that Shakespeare play. So
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, wow.
so what is
That's a lot of
vibing with
people in
you
there.
in that way?
I'm thinking about just like the off the wall casting of just casting anybody that's really good.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
They were cast based upon their skill level, not based upon accuracy to the time.
That's exactly what I want to do. Like, that's why I really wanted to separate it from the history. I just wanted to be able to blind cast whoever is the best.
This lineup is insane. Kenneth Branagh, Robert Sean Leonard, who is Wilson from House, Emma Thompson, Michael Keaton,
Wow.
Keanu Reeves, and Denzel Washington. What the fuck?
But hold on a second. For his performance in the film, Reeves was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor, which he lost to Woody Harrelson for Indecent Proposal.
It was his accent. He's not good at accents.
Oh, yeah, that's
Wow.
fair.
Dear God.
Accents in Keanu Reeves not so good.
Whoa.
Why? What was he?
I can't even imagine him with an accent.
What was Coppola thinking?
He wasn't, probably.
He was.
Oh God.
You had to have auditioned him, right?
He's that new hotness. We'll get him in here.
That's literally what it was.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
literally what it was. He was
Wow.
cast because he was popular at the time, and so therefore they said, "Oh, well, this will get a young audience in there," and it didn't
Nope.
really work. I like that movie, but he's terrible in it.
I have the perfect person to add, but I cannot. Oh, I'm blanking on the name. Rami Malek.
I love him.
Ooh.
There you go.
That's a good
He
ad.
could be any of the villains.
I
He could
could-
be any of the villains.
I could see him as Buckingham.
Yeah, I was leaning that way.
With or without the Freddie Mercury teeth.
Oh, make him bigger. Make him bigger.
Have a giant
He would
overlay.
rock it, man. He would make that a choice. Like he would do something with that.
Darling, let's do
He'd be
those
like, I
teeth but
talked to my
bigger.
teeth or something.
How about for the cardinal? I like this. So the new setting, I'm imagining Catholicism has fallen, I hope.
I would say religion itself has fallen.
So the new
I'm thinking that instead of in religion, you have people that are obsessed with bringing back the technology of old, and that is religion. People who believe that the ancients must have known so much. They're going through the data banks. They're finding out about history and all of these, wonders and technology that they used to be able to do, and they want that life back. And so that's kind of their religion. Almost like they want to bring back capitalism.
I was
They're
just about to say
capitalists.
that backwards assed capitalist cult is kind of perfect.
Yeah,
I
love that.
In the novel "The Star's My Destination," there's a sequence where the main character Gully Foyle and the woman he's working alongside, Gisbella, they're trying to find an individual
Gisbella.
that's her name. Yes, it was 1956. Let it go. But they're trying to find this one individual. Basically, he's hunting down all the members of the ship that left him behind in the asteroid belt, and he's hunting down all the pilot, the crew, all of them. He's just hunting them just to kill them, just for no reason. Just like I have to kill them. He's trying to find them, and he finds this house with these people that are very religious. Religion's basically become outdated, but there's a small subsect of people that still follow a religious order, and he finds a house that has like a group of like 30 people. So maybe the cardinal isn't a cardinal, but is more like a televangelist that's struggling.
So we're casting Jared Leto, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
God,
he's a
yes.
cult leader.
I
There you
just
go.
like him
Oh,
as a
God.
capitalist, though. I love this whole. I don't know. I think that would be a perfect reflection of the times, to be quite frank, where we're prioritizing the economy. We're basically prioritizing rich people's yachts over fucking people's lives with COVID. So, like, I just feel
I saw a meme today that said, replace the word money with the word people's money for people's yachts, and you'll see the divide of capitalism.
Aaron sent us that, and my response was,
Yes, I did.
when we turn into the Punisher, they're the first to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, actually, I think Jared Leto's perfect for the role, and here's why. Imagine a mediocre white man failing upwards harder than the lead singer of a 90s band turning into an Oscar movie actor? On multiple occasions, by the way. He's been in multiple Oscar-winning movies. Why? I don't fucking know. He failed upward. He's basically Todd from BoJack Horseman, but worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, could you not see
that's
Todd
perfect. That's
accidentally making a cult in California?
Yeah, I totally see it. And plus, he was also in Blade Runner 2049 as a weird venture capitalist douchebag.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And if you
perfect.
watch the short films, he got there because he murdered people.
Yeah, he's a fucking murderer. Yeah.
Anthony Starr is the king.
Oh.
Wait, that's his name, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the Homelander.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. That just
If you need a good bad guy, he's your dude. Is he still gonna be obsessed with breast milk though?
Likely.
yeah.
Aaron, have you watched The Boys yet?
I have not, no.
Oh, you would fucking love it.
all,
You would love it.
all you need to know is this Australian actor has drank a lot of breast milk on film for this.
He has a weird mommy fetish, is the thing. That our Superman type character has a mommy fetish.
I see.
I mean,
It is the best Superman character I've seen in a while.
I can kind of see that. I can see him having mommy issues. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
for final questions on this pitch, and this pitch is gold, let me be clear here.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to drop the entire cast except one person, who would you keep?
Ray Stevenson.
Good.
Yeah. He's the only one that really had a lot of personality to me.
I could see him as like a fat King Louis. You know, he's just like kind of washed up. He's been surfing on his own kingdom for a while. I could see that.
Well, he was in the first two Thor movies, so
And his beard was beautiful in those.
yes. Didn't he get killed in the third movie?
Dark World
I think they all did.
killed all three of them off.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Vic, how about you? Who would you keep from this cast?
Luke Evans is making a good case, but I think I would go with Orlando Bloom because I know what he can do, and he's already in his limited screen time. He's great, and I want to see more of him. Is
that performance too cheesy for the Horizon Zero Dawn version of the script? I'm just poking holes in your theory. That's all. If you just love him, you can keep him. No problem.
No, I'm considering, and perhaps yes, it probably would be too cheesy, but I know he could tone it down if need be.
Interesting.
And be just a smooth player.
I could see that. How about you, Aaron? Who would you keep if you had to?
I think Orlando Bloom, because realistically, he could play any of the characters that need to use a sword. I think he's a very versatile actor, and
true.
I think that he is also a really accomplished swordsman. And I think since we're going for more acting talent with a lot of the other people that we're trying to cast, that we do need somebody who can, really solidly use a sword on film.
Well, I mean, he was Legolas, and he was also in Kingdom of Heaven, so
And,
All 5 fucking hours of it.
And Zorro and Wolf.
Yeah. all of those Pirates films.
Who was it that wanted you to watch the director's cut?
Aaron. Aaron wants
my
to come on and
God.
fix the director's cut, and I'm just working up the energy to watch all of that movie.
Do it? Aaron? What?
No, a different Aaron.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, I
no,
was
not
very
you. Yeah.
confused.
Aaron with a double A, Aaron.
Got it.
From other episodes of the show. He wants me to watch it. I may. I do love Ridley Scott, but fuck is he boring when he's boring.
Well, we've got Prometheus.
When
coming up.
he's boring.
Oh shit, I gotta fix that too, don't I?
No, we're doing
Yeah,
it
that's
as
a
a group
that's a
thing.
group
Oh,
one.
thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, when
You haven't even seen it, and you still say you don't want to watch it.
I mean, I've read enough about it that I know I don't.
when
wanna.
It's not the worst. He's made
Oh
worse
yeah.
movies.
When Ridley Scott is boring, he is like Ezekiel bread, dry, boring.
Yeah.
Just flavorless and dry and ugh.
He's communion bread, dry and dull.
Body of Christ, wafer
Oh,
dry.
Jesus. I went to
Yeah.
Catholic high school. That resounds.
Yeah.
All right, here's my casting to keep. Juno Temple, who was the queen, but instead, this time, she's Milady.
I could see her doing that.
Yeah.
She was
That-
very clever.
I love,
We like Mila Jovovich, but not for this story.
yeah, for
She needs to be
this setting
strategically
specifically.
She's in the movie because Anderson is her husband.
Yeah,
That's it.
100%. I mean, but also job security, so good for her.
Well, yeah. Good. Keep making that money.
Yeah, but I definitely could see her playing Milady. Like she played that. She played the queen like with so much. You know how women had to be back in the days where they couldn't say much, they couldn't do much, but like I could see that there was a lot behind her.
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
she couldn't speak out too much.
Unless you were Queen Elizabeth and you just chose abstinence. for
Let
rest of
them
your
eat
life.
cake.
Hey,
Let them eat puss.
That wasn't
No,
Queen
I know,
Elizabeth.
I
That
know.
was
That was Marie Antoinette.
yes. And fuck
But
that
there were
movie.
rumors that Queen Elizabeth I was a lesbian, so let them eat puss.
Different kind of cake.
Oh, back then it was cake.
No,
Ah.
no.
no, you can't. Jesse, no, stop it.
Everyone listening just got that visual image, and it's your fault.
I'm just hitting home
Stop
runs
that.
tonight, aren't I?
Swinging for the fences over there.
This is a good episode.
Jesus Christ, it was.
Oh boy. Okay, yeah. So mediocre movie, perfect pitch. That's just that's our score on this show, to be honest though.
Yeah. That's how you know you got a good episode out of it.
I really like it. I think it's visually everyone understands what it is. Casting wise, I'd love to hear what the fans think in our Discord or on Twitter. You can shout out to us if you have better castings than the ones that we dropped out. Let me pivot real quick to Vic. Vic, where can people find you? Thank you. Also, thank you for jumping on this episode last minute. Literally, last night I was like, hey, let's test out your mic and also watch this movie.
He was like, "While we're here, while we have you." But I'm happy. Always happy to help. Always happy to be here. Everybody's great, and love talking about movies. Love y'all. Yeah, you can find me at same place, Twitter and Instagram. VicJ_795. Still doing me. Hot takes and retweets.
Love it for you. Jesse, how about you? Where can people check you out and find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Hardcore B Shots. We have 2 other podcasts. One is Off Season, That Weird Ass Game. We have our season finale was Spec Ops: The Line, and also we have Split the Difference, where we take an original film and compare it to its remake. We just did an episode on 47 Ronin. That was a fun time. And our season finale is coming up pretty soon. We're talking about the much requested Fantastic Four, the original Roger Corman movie versus 2015's Fan Force Stick. So that'll be an interesting episode.
And who's going to be on that episode, Jesse?
Going for the hat trick, Mr. Jack Packer. Jack the Pac-Man Packer is coming back one more time.
He entertains us, I think, too much. He might be too nice to us. To watch Fan Force Stick for us?
Oh, man. I don't know if he'll rewatch it, but, as long as we can talk about it, that's all that I
What
care
an
about.
angel. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a good time. Also, season 2 is lining up to be insane.
I've already got the ideas for season 2's episodes of Split the Difference, and it's going to be interesting.
I think overall, I love all of our shows, but Split the Difference has been just the most riotous time for me, where I never know what we're going to get into as we go movie to movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I said, look, sometimes we get completely different movies. Like, we did 47 Ronin, and we got 2 completely different movies.
Total different genres.
Different fucking genres. And it's infinitely entertaining to either praise or criticize.
Absolutely. And Aaron, how about you? Let's round things out with you.
On Twitter at Aaron Moriarty YT, and I have a link tree as well. That's just Aaron Moriarty. I'm probably going to be streaming on Twitch at some point in the near future. That's Aaron Moriarty as well.
Wonderful. I also stream on Twitch at SethXDecker. I don't do it often, and sometimes I abandon it completely to cook deer meat.
And sometimes you Twitch on stream.
I also do that. Let's finish things off with housekeeping. If you're in it this far, assumably you're a trooper, which means what would $1 a month be to you? Nothing, right? So might as well send that our way to our Patreon. Patreon.com/MontresorMedia. For $1, you get access to extended episodes, unreleased episodes, early access to many of our shows. It is a wonderful place over there. We're going to be figuring out more ways to make it more interactive. However, if you need to talk to us right now, we do have a Discord. It is in the bio of our Twitter. That's at Film Rescue Show. Follow us there. You can also send us your requests or request to be on the show. We say no to no one, unfortunately. Or fortunately. I've yet to decide if this is good for us or not, but it's working out so far. You can also send us an email at filmrescueshow@gmail.com. That is the long form way if you have big, long pitches or Word documents, or if your name is Victor Grubbs, you send in 6 pages of photos and character listings. And
You're welcome.
Oh, wait. I can't talk bad about you if you can hear me, right?
No, you can. You can. I appreciate it better that way. Keep me humble.
You need to be humble too. That's really the honest truth here.
There we go. Thank you. Let me know, man. Keep it honest.
I think that's going to do it for us. This has been a wonderful episode and a great time. We only have a few more episodes left this season, and our season finale is going to be Prometheus with a mystery guest at this point. I don't want to speak too soon, but it's going to be someone I've been looking forward to have on the show for a while. And I like that movie a lot, and so do they. So, Jesse, you need to get your boxing gloves on.
I don't hate the movie. I just think it's got a fuck ton of problems.
It's true. It is a movie with problems.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's definitely going to be it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this point. I don't even know how many of our people listen this far, but if you do, I'd say something different every time, so it's worth listening this far.
If you do, tweet us so we know.
Yes.
For reals.
Yeah, that way we'll know. That way we'll know.
That way we'll know.
At the end of every episode, what does Seth say?
We love and desire your feedback. God damn it.
I live for the approval. Jesse, you know the perfect way to end this episode, so take it away.
All of us at the same time. The Musketeers slogan.
All for one and one for all. So after seeing Christoph Waltz in this movie, I had to rewatch Inglourious Bastards, and
Yes.
that movie's
Great decision.
flawless.
Really?
I have a really hard time finding issues with that movie.
Inglourious Bastards?
Inglourious
It's
Bastards.
called Inglourious Bastards. They're barely in the fucking movie.
Yeah, but I mean, no one's really in the movie that much.
That's such a Tarantino thing, anyway.
It's like a collection of short films. Yeah.
Yeah. He has. How many chapters was it?
5? Yeah, 5.
That was literally both. That was in sync. That's funny. Yeah, no, and each one was just amazing on its own, and as a narrative, as a collective narrative. Were they out of order too? Or
no, they're in
chronological.
Yeah, they're chronological.
Well,
mostly
they kinda
chronological.
go back and forth every now and again.
Yeah, the thing that killed me so I get something new out of it every time I watch it. The thing that killed me was the scene where Shoshana's taking down the marquee letters, right? The movie that's on the marquee is Under the Shadow of Pitts Paloo, which is then referenced in the basement scene which is when they ask, have you seen this movie? The German says yes, which would have been an odd thing to say unless that movie had been showing in France close enough for him to go see. And then in that same basement scene, Michael Fassbender's character, the Brit, right? He gets hired because he's a film critic and a soldier. And he wrote his book on
GW
Pabst, right? So they play that card game where they put the cards on their forehead and they all pass to the right. And Bridget von Hammersmark has GW Pabst on her card on her forehead.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's those little things that made me go, holy shit! That's like you're telegraphing stuff that I wouldn't have even got the second time, like probably my fifth or sixth time watching the movie, and I'm picking up all these like little things where every scene references the next scene in some way that is not obvious, and I'm just going, oh my god, holy shit!
That's so interesting. I didn't know that.
Great moment of the SS officer in the basement of that bar, where he's trying to guess who was on his card on his forehead. And his decision is, am I a slave from Africa? And they were like, no, of course not. He's like, oh, then I must be King Kong. I was like, oh, yes. God damn.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Jesus
Christ.
The best line.
Jesus.
The best line from that scene is when Hugo Spitowitz or whatever, the German guy, the German killer.
Yeah, Till Schweiger.
Yeah, his final line before he dies is
Stiglitz.
Say auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi Stiglitz, yeah. Say auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi balls, and then shoots the dude right in the dick.
Yep. Like, that scene, I think, you said that's your favorite scene, Seth?
Remember when Michael Fassbender was still doing good movies? Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah, that is, I think that's my favorite scene in all of cinema, the basement scene. It hits every note. It's horror, thriller, action, comedy, suspense. Just it hits every single note, and you're shifting with it. You're never lost at any point in that scene. Like there's nothing loses you. It's just perfect, like action to action execution. Oh god, I could watch that scene on repeat until I die.
Masterful suspense, man. Like,
yeah, it was Tarantino redeeming himself after Death Proof.
I still maintain that Death Proof is a better movie than many directors' best movies.
I agree, but in terms of like, but on the Tarantino scale, it's the worst of his films. It's pretty low.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the movie doesn't really start until Kurt Russell shows up to try to kill Zoe Bell. The movie doesn't really start until that point.
It's kind of two movies.
Oh, it is.
That.
It's literally because
aspect,
that's how those movies would be edited like that, because they were like, oh, well, this first set of girls, it's totally, we can totally get a whole movie out of this. Oh, the movie's too short. Let's do it again.
You know what it reminded me a lot of, and it's your fault for me thinking of it. Gone in 60 Seconds, the original version. It's kind of two movies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, that's what it was inspiration for that film. Yeah, like
oh sure.
That, The Vanishing, or no, not Vanishing. Vanishing Point.
Vanishing Point.
The Vanishing is a totally different movie.
It's definitely his most masturbatory movie too, because it's just him talking about movies that he loves.
Yeah, it's totally that. Like, because that was just a thing that he and Tarantino, or he and Rodriguez did just to like fuck around. That was their "we're fucking around" movie. Like, we don't care. They didn't care if they lost money, and of course it did. So,
yeah, I'm a little shocked he still counts that in his 10, but I guess he likes it enough.
I mean, it still is a full-length film. It's 90 minutes. It got released on its own.
Is that
eventually?
So I haven't seen it yet. Is this like a full Grindhouse movie or?
Oh yeah, I mean,
okay.
To the degree that he even puts in editing mistakes, air quotes, to make it more like a Grindhouse. Like, it goes to black and white for 10 minutes for no reason.
Yeah, to reference like they got the wrong film stock and they had to film it on the wrong thing.
Yeah,
like,
yep.
That's funny.
Yeah. There's some good stuff in it, but I would say Rodriguez's movie is more entertaining.
That also has the one where Quentin Tarantino's dick drips off of his body. So
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're supposed to constantly take this gas that keeps them human, but he doesn't take it fast enough, and his dick melts off, and then his whole body melts away, and then he gets shot in the head with a grenade launcher.
I need to watch that movie again. Honestly, it's been too long.
It's
Planet
well,
Terror.
Yeah, it's
Planet
a lot of
Terror.
fun. It's not great, but it's fun. There's so many
I have to
fucking
see it,
actors in
too.
that movie that just show up for like a scene and they're dead.
Am I mistaken? I was trying to go off of memory. Isn't Tom Savini in that movie?
He is. He's the
Yes.
the deputy that gets his
That's
finger
right.
bitten off, and he
That's
has to
right.
pull his wedding ring off one finger and put it on the
I
other
love
one.
Tom Savini.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready to jump back into this. I could talk about Tarantino
Yeah,
all day.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is some good
Yeah.
Patreon content.
Well, I'm editing this, and I'll put some in.
Let's jump back to the show.